is Ashraf, and I'm going to explain our project in this course. In our project, we decided to implement a game called Simon Says. In this game, we basically have 4 LEDs and 4 buttons. Each button maps to a specific LED, and at each round, a random sequence of LEDs light up, and the player has to press the buttons that maps to this correct sequence. If the player gets the sequence right, he then moves to the next round, and the sequence increases by 1. If he loses, if he enters the wrong sequence, he loses, and he has to start again from level 1.
Karim, I'm going to explain the code of our project. We start by defining our input and output pins in the setup function. Next, in our main loop, we're going to start by generating a random sequence for up to 100 LEDs. So we can have up to 100 levels. Next up, we have the show sequence function. This function is going to show the sequence to the player of lights up to until the level of the player. So if the player is on level 5, for example, we're gonna loop 5 times and show the first 5 LEDs in the sequence we just generated earlier. Next, we're gonna listen for the player to enter a sequence in the get sequence function. We're gonna loop up to the player level as well. Every time the player presses the button, we're gonna check if this button corresponds to the right LED that was generated earlier. If it is correct, we're gonna enter the correct function. If it's not correct, we will enter the incorrect function. In the correct sequence function, we're gonna flash the lights in the row to indicate that the player entered the correct sequence, and then we're gonna increment his level and reduce the rate, which makes the game go faster. While if the player enters an incorrect sequence, we're gonna reset his level to 1, and we're gonna reset his rate to the starting rate.
My name is Mostafa Elkhouly. Today I will be introducing the Simon Says game. Let's have some fun, and we will play with the game a little bit. So if you press the reset button, the game will just get activated by turning on all the lamps on. This means that the game have just started from the level 1. Pressing on the start button will turn one of the lamps on, and it will turn the big red lamp. So pressing on it will verify that the lamp have just get inputted in the right order. And then we will go to the level 2, which means red and then yellow. This means that the sequence is right sequence, so it will activate the 4 lamps, and it will turn on all the 4 lamps to show that the sequence is right. Then now we will go to the hard mode. We will reset, and then turning or pressing on the start button for a longer period of time. So we have gone to the hard mode approach, and we saw that in the first level for the hard mode, all the lamps will get turned on, as we saw now. Then when I input a wrong sequence, the lamps will turn on, but for several times, which indicates that the sequence is a wrong sequence.
And I'm going to talk about the components that we need for our Simon Says game. Okay. First of all, without any resetting, all the 4 lamps will light up at the same time. But What if we were in the middle of the game and we want to restart the game again? We're going to use this reset button component. There it is. So we can restart everything again. The 4 lamps will light again. Okay. Then here's our other components. This is the main button. This main button is used to control the lamps for 2 modes. First, the easy mode and the hard mode. The hard mode takes much faster time for the lamps to light, to light up with a lower rate. Here and then every lamp, and here are other components. The lamp, everyone has its own resistor, so there is no any conflict happens. Here's our resistors. Every button has a resistors for the same case also. Here is the this one represents the VCC, so the lights would light, so the LEDs would light up, and these are the ground for every single lamp and button. We're going to use them at the mode. These are the wires for the LEDs, the pens that we're using from 2 to 5, and here are the buttons input. They are digital input.